We're back. Who's we?
Who are we?
Who are
Another Pointless Automotive podcast?
Yeah, I'm Frank.
We'll have to come up with a name someday.
Chad again there. Yeah. And we're chatting up about automobiles and the world thereof.
You know what, Frank?
Yes.
It's been hot lately.
It has been hot. We are here in currently in Tracy, California, and it's quite warm. I think it's probably already deep into the 80s.
It's going to be in the 90s, low 90s today, which is, we are in, April, mid-April. So let's keep it thematic. Let's talk about hot hatches.
So hot right now. And you know what? It actually is slightly hotter right now, the world of hot hatches.
Yes.
Which is sad because it's been a breed of vehicle that has been not extinct, but like critically endangered, I think, on the little like rubric of all the different like levels of how endangered animals are.
It has its moments. It's like there'll be an example that pops up every once in a while, but you're right. Like 80s and 90s were hotter for hatches.
It was, yeah. That was back then. I would say they would have been categorized as least concerned. I think is like common animals.
Yeah, threatened as we went through the 90s.
Extinct is like Finn era American luxury barges. They're extinct. But I think they're definitely critically endangered as a hot hatch. But maybe not. Maybe it's trending in a different direction.
Who's bringing it back, man? Who's trying to save it?
Against all odds, right now the GR Corolla has showed up aggressively sliding into the scene, doing on-axis donuts, and color me shocked. And of course that's big news here in North America, where we do not get the GR Yaris, which is another player in that space.
Yeah,
cool car in its own right. But are we seeing a revival of the hot hatch? Maybe.
I don't know if that's true. So, like, what are the specs of the GR Corolla? So,
a
little iffy with the hot hatch. I know hot hatch is kind of broadened.
I know. We'll have to dig into the definition of a hot hatch here in a little bit.
In the classical sense, right? We'll talk about that
because that's a slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope, and so what we're talking about, the GR Corolla. I don't know if they released what model year. I think it's going to be a 2023.
I believe 23.
So we're talking 300 horsepower out of a 1.6 liter 3-cylinder, which is cool. That's amazing. 273 torque. This is all-wheel drive.
Correct. But it's not your like, Volkswagen, front wheel drive biased all-wheel drive system. The way I understand it is it defaults to 50/50,
which is awesome.
Dope. Yeah, and you can put it in like like gravel mode or off-road rally mode, I suppose. And it does like a 70 rear, 30 front split, and then I think there's a different mode where it will then be front wheel drive bias if you choose, but just a standard mode, straight up 50/50.
We've never seen anything like this from Toyota.
Front and rear torsion limited slip.
Yep.
Like from the factory.
50. Let's just talk about the engine though. So those numbers, you just circle those numbers, right? All-wheel drive, 300 horsepower, STI.
Out of a 3-cylinder.
Yeah, this is freaking in a 1.6 liter 3-cylinder engine. Yeah. So what else is a 3-cylinder? The new Fiesta ST that we didn't get here.
The 1 liter EcoBoost, right?
1.5 liter. So it's a 1.5 3-cylinder that makes 200 horsepower or something right around there. So a little more than what we got in our 1.6.
Didn't they make an EcoBoost 1 liter too? I thought that's like
not
literally like the size of the block and head is like the size of like your MacBook.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But yeah, the Fiesta ST went to that 3-cylinder design. We didn't get it.
Right, balance shaft motor, I believe.
Yeah. Super smooth, super revvy, good power.
Yeah. The Geo Metro.
I was going to say that, but we can't bring Metro into a hot hatch conversation.
Yeah, not all like grinder talk, but the what else had a 3-cylinder that we got? Justy. That was a 1.2 liter, I believe.
What did that thing have? That was carbureted and had
I think like
38 horsepower.
It was not competitive.
It was insane.
That's kind of it.
That is kind of it.
Yeah.
So what is this? Here's the thing. Like I think
Suzuki Cappuccino.
We didn't get that either.
We did not get that. Same with the AutoZan, and those were 3-cylinder turbos.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, is this is a hot hatch from Toyota, which we don't see very much and haven't seen recently. Also, it weighs probably like 3,200 plus is what I think that I saw the estimate. So it's not
Yeah.
exactly light, but not
It's light for today,
light. What's light?
especially for a 4-door all-wheel drive.
Yeah,
Rather, it's
true.
got forged carbon fiber roof, which is dope.
That's wild. But this, I think it competes. The numbers like put it in line with like a Civic Type R,
Yeah,
which is the traditional front-wheel drive hot hatch.
I think it looks better. I think even just a standard Corolla looks better than the Civic R. The Civic R doesn't really.
What do you take? You get your choice. Civic Type R. The new one does look a little better than the old one, but Civic Type R or GR Corolla.
So I'm not go out and buy a new car guy. However,
Gun to your head, you have to pick one.
however, the GR Corolla is one of the few. That and honestly probably the GT86 that has and BRZ, the second one, Gen one that just recently also came out. That really has me scratching my taint about like I would actually consider going out and buying.
So it's not just that rash you have down there.
It's no, there's no cure for that rash, but it's more of a like without a gun to my head, I would be like, boy, I don't really have the coin to spend right now and go do that.
Sure.
But, you know, and right now it's the worst time in modern history to go try and buy a new car because A, you can't, they don't have them, and B, if you do find one, you're paying 20% over an MSRP
at least.
But you know this car's probably going to be around 40 grand, I suspect, without any ADM.
You think that high?
I think so. At least
I think
they're spec'd out.
I think they're going to be in the 30s. I think they're going to be low to mids.
Well, I think even just a standard like Corolla XSE or whatever, like you could spec out in the high 20s.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. 35.
Maybe
or less.
Maybe you can get like because I know there's like 2 trim levels. There's like a circuit and a core. And I assume the core is like the more stripper model.
I would assume, yeah. Who knows? Their naming convention.
Yeah, I don't know. But okay, so let's just say even if it is, let's say it would cost me 40 grand to get one, right? Whether that because of ADM or sales tax or whatever. That is a car I think I don't want to say will never depreciate, but I think if you just like, hey, I'm going to buy a car and keep it long term, and not have it be like a GT3 or something, a Cayman GT4 RS, like some big ticket car, like under $50,000 car that is going to kind of always be worth a fair amount of money and may eventually appreciate, and you can use.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that is right there in the running, and that makes me be like, boy, that would be a lot of car to just have and own and drive and love.
I wonder, like longevity-wise, with that engine, because that's got to be a high-stressed engine. 300 horsepower with a 3-cylinder of only a 1.5 or 1.6 liter displacement.
It's got a few things working in its favor. First off, Toyota, right? Like that.
Yeah.
It's a 3-cylinder, so it's kind of got it's not like it's a V6 with a couple turbos slapped on either side. You've got half the number of moving parts and things that can go wrong. You've got what's it going to have? 24 valves maybe.
What kind of turbo you think it's running? Some kind of tri-scroll, like futuristic. It's got to be something for that low displacement, that output. 300
Well,
horsepower.
it's the same drivetrain out of the GR Yaris, is my understanding, right? They just retune it so you get some more.
Is that?
Chutzpah. Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's literally the same drivetrain. It just they bump it another 50 horsepower or whatever. And what that's entailed, I don't know.
I know turbo like technology has come a long way from our 80s and 90s, like boost at 4,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Big wave of boost.
Can I say it though? Can I be the guy that I kind of like that 80s kick you in the teeth turbo that? Not for actually
not for performance.
Not for performance attractive stuff, but for just like goofing around town and having the car have some character.
Yep.
I think it's kind of fun.
I agree. I'm with you on that. I love that stuff.
But yeah, so I think this GR Corolla I think is incredibly cool. I've always been a Toyota guy.
Yep.
So for me, it's kind of like, and it's funny because I think they call it like the GR4 is what they're calling like the all-wheel drive system.
Right. Like it's some kind of new.
But it's like a toss back to the old Celica GT4.
Yep.
And the Corolla even GT4, which we never got.
We did not.
And so it's kind of a throwback to the old, Toyota Team Europe, TDE rally racing when Toyota was not dominant, but one of the more competitive players in the rally scene with the ST 165, 185, 205, and then the turbo Corollas, and then they were eventually perma-banned because they were cheating.
Yeah.
Incredible manner.
It happens.
It does, but it's incredibly cool. It's fun that like Toyota, after being such a non-entity in the performance world for so long,
for a good decade plus.
Yeah. Realistically, you know, even before the Supra died off, like that was the last gasp.
So like GTS, bro.
Yeah, but that's a different car than this.
Right, exactly.
You know? And that was even that. Yeah. So let's say, let's just call it, you know, from 2000 to 2020.
Yeah, not
you
really.
know. So it's cool. I'm a fan of it, but like hot hatches, you know, I don't want to come back and say like, oh, it's a sign that the hot hatch is coming back, because we also have like the Veloster N, which is great, and the GTI and Golf Rs.
But these specs remind me of like the Focus RS a lot.
Right.
All-wheel drive hot hatch, except obviously that was a bigger car, probably a couple, 200 to 300 pounds heavier. All-wheel drive, 350 horsepower.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of in that same playground.
I got a question for you. If Ford was still making the Fiesta ST and the Focus ST and Focus RS, do you think Toyota would have launched the GR Corolla as a competitor to those, or do you think they read the tea leaves and said, look, the ST, you know, Toyota has an ownership stake in Subaru, so the STI going away.
Yeah.
And with Ford killing off all its cars, frankly, let alone its hot hatches.
That doesn't have a Mustang badge.
And yeah, and people and them trying to do some stuff for homologation or whatever with the GR Yaris. Do you think they're like, dude, we can have the playground all to ourselves? We already have a hatchback. It's got good bones. We've got the engine and drivetrain of the GR Yaris. Do you think if Ford and if other players were still making, do you think they'd probably go, you know what, we're not going to sell enough, we're not going to do it, it won't be worth our time, but because there's no other really players in the space right now, outside of a couple notable exceptions, do you think that's why they got into the market? It was like, hey, look, we're going to have almost all of this to ourselves.
I'm sure that's baked into their strategy, but I feel like Toyota, you know, the Lexus LS400 was entering a very crowded space.
Yeah.
And what did it do? Established.
Well, it reset. It changed the market.
Leveled the playing field, established Lexus. So I don't think Toyota's scared of entering a competitive marketplace.
Sure.
But I agree that the launch time was perfect to like interject this. Because you're right, the RS isn't here. The Ford getting rid of all its cars, like the Focus ST and the Fiesta, which were widely reviewed as great cars. Yeah. I owned a Fiesta ST.
I think they don't have a transmission. An automatic transmission in them.
Right, well, that's
STs
only came with, the 6-speed manual, which was gorgeous. I think it was a Getrag unit. But those Fiesta STs are going to be timeless, though. Especially now that they don't make them anymore. That's going to be a car that, jeez.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you look back at, say, a Fiesta ST or Focus ST or Focus RS, cool cars. However, my understanding, and I've been in them. I've never owned one, so I don't know firsthand. My understanding is they haven't quite held up terribly well.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess,
I mean, as far as like high miles.
I was the second owner, and I had mine at like 18,000 to like 50,000.
Yeah.
So that's low mileage, but I'll tell you, I use it as a daily, and what a car. I had the Recaro package, everything.
You said your Fiesta ST.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one,
it's the one.
The Focus. Or the Fiesta. I mean, the bigger power with like, especially like RS is fun, drift mode and all that. But boy, the little tossable little Fiesta ST is
it's diminutive. It's like the balance is really good. I mean, it handled like a rear-wheel drive car. When you threw that thing too hard, the rear end would just come around in a very predictable manner.
Yeah.
6-speed was great. Recaros were great. 4 doors, hatch.
So how about this? How does one define a hot hatch? Because here's the thing, like the original. Yeah. The quote-unquote original hot hatch is, I mean, I think for most people's definitions, and you can probably there's maybe some holes in this.
Might be
but
some
I think traditionally we're talking the Mark I Rabbit GTI.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the standard bearer. That's the 64 GTO is to the muscle car as what the GTI is to the hot hatch. That was originally a 2-door offering.
Yep. Front-wheel drive. So you're hitting all the bullet points.
So that's the standard bearer for a hot hatch, and there have been many iterations and substitutes that have come and gone since then.
Yeah.
If it has 4 doors, could it still be a hot hatch?
Well, let's.
At what part if the hatch starts angling to a certain degree forward, more of a fastback looking style, but it's still a hatchback. So then at what point of angle do we call that no longer a hatchback and it's like a coupe or a fastback? And then also you've got something like, you know, the 2002 to 2007 WRX had the wagon version. The generation after that, the wagon was more of a hatch.
Yep.
But I think they still call it the wagon. And was the earlier wagon actually a hatch the whole time, but we call it a wagon? Like where, it's a slippery slope. And so.
There is some ambiguity in that. But I would say the classic hot hatch recipe, in my opinion.
Yes.
Front wheel drive.
Yes.
It's got to be, obviously have a hatchback.
Sure.
It's got to be a high revving, traditionally naturally aspirated, but we'll say turbos are fine.
Yeah.
But high revving, exciting engine. It's in the hot hatch is usually a performance variant of a base model car.
Sure.
Like most hot hatches are just like, whether it be a homologation special or something, it's never usually a standalone model.
Right.
Like the hot version is the hot version. We're talking low weight, front wheel drive, I already mentioned that. Usually manual transmission was the other deciding factor. And usually, like I said, smaller in size. So
sure.
Early Golf GTIs, I listed a bunch of the old ones here.
Yeah.
The Suzuki Swift GTI, later became the GT, FX16.
Chevy Turbo Sprint.
Turbo Sprint, FX16 Corolla, Mazda 323 GTX, which there's an all-wheel drive and turbo in, but still very hot.
Dodge Omni GLH.
GLH is on there, Mini Coopers.
Sure.
Things like that, Mazda Speed 3, Focus SVT.
323 GTX.
That's on there, but that's all-wheel drive.
That is all-wheel drive, yeah. I think the traditional, I think I'm kind of there. It's funny, in my mind, it's sort of like the old, what was it, like the congressional panel when they're talking about porn or whatever, and the congressman or congress lady is just like, I can't define pornography for you, but I know it when I see it.
Okay.
That's kind of like how I can figure out, is it a hot hatch, is it a wagon, because there's stuff, and I think we talked about it in passing a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about like a Hatchiroku, 8086 Corolla GTS rear-wheel drive is a hatchback, but it very much is like a fastback, right? But it is a hatch. Toyota like to call that the liftback.
Well, the Ford Escort
same with the Celica.
Ford Escort GT.
Escort GT. I would not call that a hot hatch though.
But it's right there.
But it has a hatch. Yeah, there's some gray area.
It's a spiced up version.
There's a gray area.
NX2000.
NX2000 I would call a sport coupe, even though it has a hatch.
Right?
Same with those generation of Celicas.
But that NX2000 checks every single hot hatch button or box, right?
That's that angle of that rear gate where it comes in, And then how about this? What about something like a Volvo P1800, where that is it's almost more like a shooting brake,
kind of,
right? Where you've got a two-door wagon.
Well, then it's a shooting brake,
right? But where does the shooting brake? In my mind, it's like, I don't know. It is really tough. It's like I feel like it's almost like in my brain, like just trying to think out loud here. In my brain, it's more like if the wheelbase starts to get a little longer than it is tall. Now that's not exact math, but there's like a certain, I don't know what the ratio between wheelbase and overall height is.
Right.
But I feel like if the wheelbase starts stretching out and it starts to get a little bit lower, kind of like that Volvo P1800.
You're getting wagon.
Now that's wagon. In that case, that would be a shooting brake because it's a two-door. But that's like the difference between like the Hawkeye 0607 WRX wagon and then the next generation after that is more that. I feel like it's a little wider. The rear overhang is a little bit smaller. The uprightness of that rear hatch is a little bit more upright.
I think that's the factor, is that hatch has to have an angle that's more straight up and down,
right,
to be hatchy versus fasty.
Or something like a Polestar 2.
Right. Yeah.
Which is it's trying to be all
or an Audi A7.
It's like A7 or an A3.
It's an RS7 have been exciting.
Right. The hot that would be the hot not hatch. Or you've got like if you want to get really wild, you can go to BMW land where you can get your BMW 4 Series, which is a two-door, and then your 4 Series Grand Coupe, which is a four-door, but originally they broke the 4 Series off from the 3 Series because they want the 3 Series to be a sedan and the 4 Series to be a coupe, but then they made a sedan version of the 4 Series, which is supposed to be a coupe, and then they named the 4-door 8 grand coupe.
Yes.
And then you can get a 4 Series GT.
Gran Turismo, right?
Which is mildly lit. It's like 1 inch more ground clearance.
It's basically
and it's like a hatch.
It's a cross door.
It is a cross door, but it's still a 4 Series coupe. It's a GT. And then you go. Then you can get an X4, which is SUV coupe with a fastback.
Okay, maybe BMW
all
isn't
blown
the
up.
example.
I mean, basically every German manufacturer is guilty of that right now.
They used to be perfect. They used to have the engine displacement in the name. The number used to make sense, and then I think they started messing that up when they wanted to like have a different name. Like the Z3 2.3 is a good example. We can't put 2.5 on there. What's the engine displacement? 2.5. Well, where'd the 2.3 come from? It sounds like a 4-cylinder.
Yeah. Well, we didn't want to encroach on the. Yeah.
So that's when it started.
The product planners get too involved, but or we're not even getting into Porsche Taycan S, Turbo S.
Oh God! Don't
like, Turbo's electric, but we're kind of going off the rails. But it's like trying to define a hot hatch.
Have you personally, Frank? Have you owned any hot hatches?
You know what? I was thinking about this on the drive over.
In your huge car history?
I've owned one. And you've driven it, my friend.
Oh, the Vibe
The Vibe GT. The Pontiac Vibe GT.
Let's look
which
at
is a little, I feel like it's definitely a hot hatch.
Well, let's look at the criteria, right?
Yes.
So you have front wheel drive.
Correct.
You have a spicy engine.
Yes.
Like a high revving engine, 4-cylinder.
8,200 RPM.
Yeah, it's cool. You had an awesome 6-speed manual.
Yes, fact.
You had a hatch.
Had a hatch. It had 4 doors, which, to be debated, but I feel like we're so far down the rabbit hole where everything's got 4 doors. I think that's...
My Fiesta had 4 doors.
Yeah, Fiesta.
No one could test that.
And even more, it was a spicier version of a lesser model.
That's what I'm saying.
So there you go.
Okay.
I think that's an underrated...
I didn't even think about that car.
Neither did I. I was like, I've never owned one. I was like, oh yeah, I have. That's the only hot hatch I've ever owned.
Nice.
Is the Pontiac Vibe GT, Toyota Matrix XRS by another name with a beard on it.
Legitimately what it is. Yeah.
That's the only one. I'm trying to think if I've ever almost bought any. I don't think so. And that's not by design. I think just that I haven't necessarily crossed paths.
He's a one hot hatch kind of guy.
I am. I'm loyal. I mean, I sold it.
That's good. Well, yeah. Hit it and quit it.
That's right. How about you? Do you have any true hot hatches? I know you said the Fiesta.
Yeah. So I have a couple, like I mentioned, Escort GT NX2000 that we're probably not going to call hot hatches, but they're freaking close. Probably as close as the Escort GT especially, like really close.
Right.
I had the Fiesta ST 2014. Mm-hmm. I had a 2009 Mini Cooper S.
Okay.
And
fun car. So that 09, so that was turbo. Okay.
Yep. So fun.
I bought, so my car donation client, before I was doing work for them, I would stroll through every now and then and kind of peruse the selection of cars they had for sale. Mm-hmm. I bought a few cars from them before, and they had in there, it was an 05, I believe.
Supercharged.
John Cooper Works.
Oh.
That was in there.
Oh.
And I almost bought it. I chickened out. I didn't. But it ran really high. I drove it around. I took it on a couple test drives, and it was a riot.
So it happens when I push the wheels to the very corners of the car.
Yeah, and it had, just the loud supercharger whine. It had the full. So the way you would get there was like when you bought it from Mini at the time, you would get. They were like basically it was like they didn't call it like level 1 or level 2, but it was like you could get like 2 packages, and like one came with like the exhaust and some badging.
Okay.
Was like the low level one, and then the higher level one was you got like the bump, like I think it was like a bigger pulley on the supercharger. You got a different
smaller pulley.
Yeah, sorry, higher boost, smaller pulley, higher RPM pulley on the supercharger. You got a different intercooler, and I think they actually even it came with like a different head.
Oh my god!
It was kind of
serious.
Pretty involved. And
don't tell me
both
that.
of them. This was both. There was a full kit, and I could have got it for $5,000 at the time. It had, I think, just over 100,000 miles. It had like
You'd still have them because they are
miles.
unbelievably fun.
The one thing I was gun shy about is it had on the driver's seat the side, the shoulder up on the top was the seat was completely split and blown open, and had an airbag warning light on it.
Oh, okay.
It didn't deploy, and that's why it was blown open. It was just, I would have had to recover the seat and then deal with whatever was going on. And I was kind of wringing my hands about it. And at the time, it's just like I probably could have spent $5,000 on it, but I wasn't like super flush with cash. But it was how you would want it. It was that like dark charcoal gray interior with the blue with the white stripe exterior.
So cool.
It was really, really cool, and I didn't pull the trigger on it, but boy, that was a fun car. Just
Yeah,
the noises it made.
Oh yeah.
It was like, this is '05, so it was like peak burble tune.
Sure.
And so yeah, it was popping and cracking and a lot of supercharger whine. It wasn't insanely fast, but it was quick. It was agile. It was hilarious.
Oh, they're great. My 09 was great. I love that turbo. It did make a little more power than the supercharged one.
Mm-hmm.
The only downfall was the direct injection. I had to do a walnut blast to the intake manifold at 38,000 miles.
What a mess. It's just whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But that car was so fun. The boost was instantaneous. Handling was awesome. My third hot hatch is probably my favorite. I was actually talking to my brother about it today.
Yeah.
About how I wish I would have kept this car.
Okay.
So 92 Civic hatch.
Yeah.
It was the CX, the lightweight stripped one.
Right.
With a Japanese JDM, so D15B VTEC engine mounted. And in case you're, because the regular CX is not
That's a single overhead cam.
Single overhead cam VTEC, 1.5 liter displacement, obviously D15, 130 horsepower, 7,200 redline, 7,300 or 400.
Can I guess curb weight?
What? Yeah, guess.
2180.
A little under that. It's like 20 plus change. With a high revving 130 horsepower to 1.5. That's better than a 4AGE power to displacement ratio.
Right.
It was a screamer.
Yeah.
That's a hot hatch. Like
yeah,
SWAT Civics, we forget that. Like, because none of the Civic hatches we got in the States, except for like the EPs, I think in the early 2000s, the SIs, we never got like, the SIs were okay, and you got like, what was it, EGs had SIs and EFs.
Correct.
But we never got the spicy like SIRs.
Yeah,
or
we
like
got
that.
like the.
So after that, like we got cracked for hatches.
Yeah, and those early SIs, I think it'd be really cool. They're not fast at all, but like an 80, 85, 86, either Civic for CX or CRX, the early CRXs. The SI, we had like the dual hole like bone dial wheels.
They do look cool.
The plastic fenders and stuff. They weighed nothing. They're a death trap. They would tell you maybe this would be a different tour for another day, or maybe today. I don't know. I'll just run through it real quick. When I was a senior in high school, I took a high school auto shop, and it was off campus. So the way it worked was it actually took you had 6 periods. Okay. It took place at the 5th and 6th period.
Oh.
Right? So literally a third of my day, every single day of the week, was dedicated to auto shop.
Sweet.
Dope. And it was off campus. So every day at lunch, get in my car, or my buddy's car, me and like 2 other friends had the same class. So we would drive, it was from Pleasant Hill, where my high school was, to the next town, Walnut Creek, where my high school auto shop was. About a 15-minute drive. And of course, like maybe a third of the time, we would just like go to Jack in the Box and never actually make it to our final destination.
Sure, happens.
But went there and we had a brand new teacher. He was a physics teacher. The old high school auto shop teacher retired. The physics teacher was an enthusiast, and he's like, "Oh, I would absolutely be the new high school auto shop teacher." And at the time, I mean, this was 2001, 2002, so it was just like kind of a crappy 15 to 16-year-old car at this point. It was just like not a high value car, not nearly as cool as it is now. And the interior was completely stripped out except for the dashboard and the steering wheel.
Okay.
It was dark blue with a silver lower two-tone. It was an SI, had the original wheels on it.
Wow.
Engine and transmission were pulled out of the engine bay and just sitting in the rear hatch. And that's what it was. It was there. And he's like, the teacher was like, they got to get rid of this thing. So me and my friends that we had the class, we wanted to do, this is our senior year, so we wanted to do something for a senior class prank, right? Because no one else was really going to like nut up and do it. So I think me and my friends were like, all right, this is what we're going to do. So we approached the high school auto shop teacher. Now again, this is off campus. This is a different high school. Yeah. So we were going to do this back at our home high school. And so we said, hey, we've got a plan to rid you of this car. If we take it and make it go away, this is what we intend to do. It's like straight up, this is what we're going to do. Will you help us in this mission, right? what our mission was, we planned on cutting it, bisecting the car. So cutting it in half, like midway through the door aperture panel.
Okay.
All the way through the roof, all the way through the floor. And then there was a tree in our quad, it's just a pine tree, nothing special. And it was there, like in our high school quad. And we were going to weld it. We were going to cut a hole, put it there, and weld it around the tree, and then shut the doors. So from the side profile, it looked like there was just a car with just around the tree.
Right.
And the teacher was like, I will help you do this. Here's the thing. You got to cut all the VINs off the car. Remove all the VINs. If somehow it comes back to me, they say, you know, something, you guys get pulled over with it, you guys get in trouble, whatever. They track down the VIN and it comes back to me here. I'm going to report it stolen. I will say, oh, that was stolen.
And he's like, you have to take the blame if they find the fuel tank full of heroin.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
You guys are cool, right?
Yeah. So we're like, deal. So we did all that. We agreed. We cut the VINs off. There was like one stamp in the firewall. We literally just got an angle grinder and windowed it out of the firewall. We cut all the VINs out of it. We cut it in half. We cut the holes in it. We drove it to our high school at like literally the week of finals week. We drove it to our high school. We went. It was like the Sunday before finals week. We had people walk through, had two friends. We put one half in the back of one car and one half in the back of another pickup truck. So loaded two pickup trucks, each with a half. We drove it from Walnut Creek to the 15, all back roads and everything. Drove it. We did this at like, it was like 3:30 a.m.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we had a couple of friends with bolt cutters walk all the long way through campus to where, on the far side of campus where the quad was, there was a gate that was locked. And so they walked the whole campus with bolt cutters to make sure no one was around, cut it. And we had radios, so the radio, yep, the coast is clear and you can bring the payload over. So we did, so we were driving in, right as we were pulling in, they were like heavy breathing. There's someone here, the security, we're running and they're chasing us, the flashlight's over. And it's like, oh shit. So we did a U-turn, we turned around and we're like, shit. There happened to be a security guard there.
Yeah.
And there never is. There's like no security. He was just there like checking up on shit. Like he's there once a week to make sure.
He's like Batman, dude. He's always there. You just never notice.
Exactly. You just came like, there was a signal that was weird.
Yeah.
But he showed up and so we're like, all right, screw it. We're going to have to try again tomorrow. So not that far down the road, like a quarter mile down the road, there was my buddy's house and he lived at the dead end. And so what we did was we took the two halves of the cars, because my friends had to drive their pickup trucks to school the next day. They can't drive their trucks with halves of cars in the back of it. It kind of, buries the lead or gives away the plot. So we parked it at the dead end. We propped up, it was just sagging in the middle because it's cut in half. So we got some bricks and we propped it up. And then we put a car cover over it.
Sure.
Right? Just be like, it'll be here, it'll be car cover. My friend, his mom is a weirdo and an extreme NIMBY. And was like, woke up the next morning, there's a car parked up there and it has a car cover on it. That's illegal. You have to be able to see your license plate. So she called the cops. Cops showed up, took the car cover off. I'm like, what the fuck? Just a car cut in half, low VINs, whatever. Yeah. Disguised with a car cover on it. We had what we did was we figured out it was going to take us too long to weld it there. Right. So we mocked up brackets that we could put with sheet metal screws, and then a whole setup to strip the screws out. We had all this set up, right? And that was in the car too, right? So that we got, so after school we went there the next day and it's gone. Yeah. We towed it and it's gone. So it never happened. But that was my story of a hot hack to the CRX.
How did we segue into that?
I don't know. And we went too long. But yes, hot hatches, easy to cut in half. That's
easy to cut in half, easy to get rid of if you just put them on the road with a carver on it.
Absolutely.
That's funny.
No, it's
dude, those old CRXs were super cool looking, man. They were super boxy, fender flares, like super cladded body. You know how I am about that.
Complete death trap.
One of my tattoos. Oh god. Yeah.
I remember at the time thinking those like phone dial wheels were super ugly.
Now
they're so cool.
So cool.
Like they're so like of the period and they're unique.
The problem with that is they followed that up with the SI with the 1.6 dual overhead cam VTEC.
Because that was just a 1.5
carved.
I believe, well, not the SI.
True.
The SI, that's what
the 1.5 carb.
The I was for injected, sports injected. So right. those were fuels like what was like 105 horsepower,
104, 102 or something like that.
Yeah, low. But also a really light car. So yeah, so fun.
Yeah, I love them. and the prices have gone up. But yeah, those are. I've owned a few. That Civic, swap Civics were kind of cool again, in my opinion. But just it's hard where we are. A lot of states let you swap engines, but in California, that's a no-no.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough nut to crack here. We touched on it kind of briefly. What do you think the future holds for the hot hatch? We've got the Corolla, right?
It's weird, right?
We've got the Veloster N is still a thing. That's kind of a unique hot hatch. That's more of the CRX ilk.
Civic Type R.
Rear subcompact. Civic Type R, but it doesn't, back to defining a hatch, it doesn't have a really hatchy feel to it.
Right.
It kind of does. I mean, it is.
But it is front wheel drive when everybody else, like this Corolla is, and the Yaris, we don't have the Yaris, but those are all wheel drive.
Yeah.
So it's like a little more actually close to the heart of what a hot hatch should be, in my opinion. As we classically outlined.
How about this? If you got to pick a manufacturer to tomorrow release a hot hatch of high quality specification.
Oh boy. Well, hey, Mercedes still sells the GLA AMG, right?
Yeah, the GLA.
So that's
I think they do the
hot
GLA
hatch.
65 still.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not 65.
Whoa.
That would be right?
Jeez.
45.
The 65. That would be awesome.
Yeah, the GLA 45 is cool. Very an untraditional hot hatch, but
Yep.
I've never seen, I'm sure they're out there. I've never seen one of those like lowered, like straight up lowered.
Oh yeah.
That could be. I'm sure it's been done.
Yeah.
That could be really dope.
And that was a high-strung engine too. Yeah.
What about BMW? This will be a hot take.
316 Ti.
Well, they had the 318 Ti, so but
318.
yeah,
Was it?
we got the 318. I think there was a 316 in Europe. Yeah.
And I think that was a spicier engine too. I think it was like a dual right cam, like little.
I mean, you can probably get it. I'm sure they had a diesel hatch, but they
Yeah.
So there's the new. Everyone craps on it. The Honda Civic of the BMW world, the new like 228 or whatever it is, the 220, the front-wheel drive 2 Series sedan. That's a thing now.
That's supposed to compete with the CLA from Mercedes, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. It's the.
Is it hot?
BMW. It's hot. If you went to hotornot.com and there was an image of that, I think it would be like it would score like a 3.2. It would be definitely trending towards the not.
Yeah.
But what if they made a hot hatch version of that?
Is it a manual option? I don't think so.
Well, nothing's manual option now. I don't think they have a manual option in their stable, but they might in Europe because Europe.
True, but the Civic Type R and the Corolla only come with manuals. I think that is hot hatch core ingredient.
R32 then, not a because the Mark IV you can get with a 6-speed or a DCT, but then the Mark V and beyond are all DCTs. Same with
For what?
for transmission for
GTIs?
No, sorry, Volkswagen R32.
Yeah, but they.
The V6 DCT only. In the Mark V, it was a DCT
DCT only?
In a Mark IV, you can get it with a 6-speed and a DCT.
No.
In a Mark V, it was a DCT only.
Mark V is the bubblier.
Yes.
No way.
You cannot get it in a 6-speed manual, DCT only. And it was early DCT, so it wasn't like super snappy like modern PDK, but still pretty decent.
Yeah, I had that old DSG. What car was that? I can't remember. Oh, my TDI Cup Edition. Had
Yes.
that DSG. And it's slower than butt.
Yeah.
But that was a Cup Edition, which I really regret.
Imagine
Didn't
just like
pay to drive that.
snapping off super quick shifts in a diesel.
It was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cup Edition, baby.
Can you?
That's
diesel
incredible
hot
brand.
diesel hot hatch?
That was. They had racing series and everything.
Yeah. Diesel hot hatch. Rear-wheel drive hot hatch. I know they made a 1 Series hatch that we never got.
Right. They made a 1 Series hatch. They had a Mercedes hatchback in Europe too that we didn't get.
Correct. I know they played around with making a 190E wagon, which we never got.
That would have been interesting.
You know, same with like E30
Well,
Touring.
There was
That's not a hatch. I mean, it is. That's another.
Yeah,
It's more wagon. The rear overhang is too great, I think, to be considered.
We missed a lot of the classics because we don't have these automakers selling in the US currently.
Let alone like Nissan Pulsar GTIR.
That's on mine. Renault Megane, Peugeot 205.
Yeah.
Like great classic hot hatches.
Well, how about Lancia Delta Integrale? That might be the most badass hot hatch of all time.
You think so?
Quote, and I hate using that term for cars because it's lame, but quote unquote badass.
Yeah.
Or Renault R5. Renault R5 Turbo, just absolute madness.
How about a
car
Honda?
that shouldn't exist?
How about a Honda City Turbo with a little motorbike in the back?
That's badass.
That's
I love those. Or like, Suzuki Alto Works.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't believe that one that sold at Cars and Bids right over here in Modesto. because it went $3,800 because I had an automatic. I think I placed a bid at like $3,000 and then immediately regretted it.
That's
just
pretty
'cause
shocking. Yeah.
that's such a cool car for $3,800.
With a manual would have been.
Oh,
three
manual
times,
would
four
have
times
yeah,
as
would
much,
have gone for probably $8,500. But yeah, like those are cool. There's a ton of stuff that, like, if you want a people pleaser car, you get a Honda City Turbo with the little moto campo that pops out of the back.
Oh, so cool. It's a cool car.
Death trap, but that's fine. Who cares?
Yeah, but if you survive the accident, you can motor away on your little
Exactly, and then get murdered immediately thereafter under
yeah,
the
of
moto
course.
campo.
Runs out of gas 2 miles later.
Hot hatches. So I'm curious, like, I'd like to see hot hatches come back. I don't know if there's any hope for the hot hatch in the EV world that we're trending into.
Yeah,
I'd like to think so, because I think a lot of EV people, once they're a little bit more mainstream, a lot of it's like there's a practical element, especially if you're like home charging and that's pretty much it. There is a practical element to EV lifestyle.
Sure.
And
I think for
the hot hatch is the kind of, I always say, the frugal thinking man's car or woman's car. Like, because there's a certain level of practicality with that too. So I think they kind of go hand in hand.
How about with packaging and batteries? Batteries tend to be put down low. They take up the traditional sedan or coupe would have a notchback style truck. It takes up a lot of that. But if you go to hatchback, you still keep a good amount of space. Like, case in point, the Lexus CT200H. It's a hatchback, but it's still got decent trunk space and decent interior space, and it's a hybrid with the batteries under there. So
yeah, exactly. And imagine the frunk capabilities in a hot hatch. You know, you've got even more practicality if you're utilizing a frunk. So I think really right now, anyways, the current hot hatch market has just moved like bloated hot hatch, because the CUV market is
still big.
Is god right now. And so, you know, you've got, like, if you think about it, a Porsche Macan is just a fat ass hot hatch.
Yeah, I mean crossovers in general, right?
Exactly, but your performance versions of the crossovers, you know, your Audi RS5, which is bigger. I'd be more like they don't make an S3, I don't think, SQ3.
No,
they make the SQ5.
We never got the S3 hatches either. We got the S3 sedans.
Right, we did. Yeah, we got A3 hatches.
Yeah, I hope one of those had a TDI one of those.
Yeah, they're fine. But yeah, like, I'm curious. It's just like, what if you did that? What if you just said, like, hey, I'm gonna buy myself a Macan Turbo, a Macan S, and just like do whatever you can to like DCUV it. Like, you lower it, you put like just more, like, I don't know, like you try and like gussy it up and turn it into a hatch. Could it be? That problem is that they're all kind of bloated.
Can't get a manual.
Can't get a manual. Are there
size?
I guess there's no real CUVs anymore. Can you maybe get like a base Forester or something with a manual? Probably not. I know you could until recently. I don't
cross
think you
tracks
can anymore.
You can still get a cross track.
Yeah, you probably could with a cross track. But, you know, it doesn't have the rest of the equation. It's a hatch with a manual. It just exists.
Yeah, I think really, like, what are we talking about then? We're talking about Veloster and we're talking Civic Type R, GR Corolla here in the States.
And Volkswagen. So you've got GTI, and Golf R.
Yeah.
I think
that's it.
We need one more. I don't know. I'm trying to think who would maybe that BMW, but that's can't. I'd like to see. You know, we had our Mitsubishi rant. I don't want to continue down that road.
What did they
There's
make?
nothing
Cyborg?
that's even.
They made the Cyborg, Mirage Cyborg,
and they had
Dodge Colt.
They had the wagon version of the Galant VR4, the later model.
The Legume.
Yes. What a name.
Yeah. It sounds like legume for food.
Yes, it sounds like part of your like digestive tract that people don't talk about anymore. Here's the Mitsubishi Duodenum. So yeah, I mean, they could do one. You know what the easy and correct answer is? They just think the Mazda Speed 3 needs to come back. They've got the turbo, but it's not a hot hatch. It's almost like a GT hatchback.
And they're slanting towards like luxury.
Right, which I'm okay with if they bump up the boost and they make it more aggressive and they put a manual or at least an aggressive DCT in it, you know, because I know there's only so much money to be able to make it feasible.
Yeah,
instead of just
make a hot hatch.
Instead of just Mazda being like, well, we've got the CX-5 3, and now we get back to CX-30, and it's just like, what? It's like the same thing, but it just has like fender flares, and like they're just like remapping existing products.
Can you get a manual Mazda 3?
I think a base model one you can.
What power plate does that thing have?
I think it's still some form of a 2. I think it's a 2-liter at this point.
What if you had a base manual Mazda 3 and you dropped in the Miata engine?
The current one?
Yeah, the ND2. High revving.
I don't know enough about the base model Mazda 3 to know that it might have that motor in it already. It might just
I don't think so.
It might just suck in a Mazda 3, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's like a... Yeah, I don't know if they do, though.
The
We hear about that. Because it's like a 7,500 RPM. No way, dude. There's no way they put that engine in there.
They might. Oh.
No, I don't think so. We would have heard about it. That'd be an enthusiast option, right? Miata, it'd be a Miata hatchback.
The new Z. That technically is a hatch, right?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. Yeah, kind of. That's great territory right there.
Here's the thing, I feel like a hot hatch has to have a rear seat.
And it's
R5,
definitely
red
not
R5
front-wheel
drive. It's not. I think you can have a rear wheel drive. There just really hasn't been.
It's not
any.
traditional, man.
There just really haven't been any.
I'm gonna stand on my conservative
One series, European market 1 Series hatch is probably the only one I can think of.
Probably, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we don't get a lot here. It's never been a hot hatch happy market here. So
Yeah,
all we can blame is
most of
ourselves.
Exactly. It's just like all the people that get online and bitch about like the death of the wagon, and then somebody releases a wagon and like 11 people buy it.
Sure, or they
like,
never
the car needs to be a
yeah.
manual, and then they sell like 0.7% of all sales of that car. People, the take rate on the manual is so low, and it's like, I get it. It's just
You can only blame yourselves.
Speaking of blame,
Well, Mini Coopers. Never mind, Mini Cooper. Well, they've got Bloated and kind of.
underrated stupid car that you never see because they never sold any because they're stupid, but I kind of want one with a manual. Paceman.
I don't like those.
Nobody does, but they're dumb and they're weird looking, and I kind of want one. A 2-door.
Like the Clubmans too.
Not
Same
the
reason.
Clubman.
I know the Paceman's a little bit sizable, but the Clubman, I don't like that door either.
I like the little ambulance doors.
Get out of here.
I know, I like weird shit.
What's the other one? The coupe? The coupe with the backwards hat for the roof?
Oh, yeah.
If you want to get weird,
The,
let's get real weird, baby.
You know what? If I had one of those cars, I would paint just that part red, right, and then put a Yankees logo on the front.
Oh, we'll do a Boston.
I hate the Yankees, but I'm just saying I would make it like the Fred Durst edition with the backwards red Yankees hat.
Didn't he always have the? Who did he have? Like Cincinnati or something?
No, it was the Yankees.
Was
It
it?
was a backwards red Yankees cap.
Good for him.
Yep. And that's why I would make the Fred Durst edition. And I
Because
would
it looks
just
like a baseball.
I would just
cap,
bump
right?
brake stuff wherever I went. Give me something to break in my like Fred Durst edition, and just make up some like mock up some like special badging, then make it like Fred Durst edition.
Would you get knockoff
The
wheels?
hot
So
dog
you could say
flavored water edition.
you get some knockoff wheels and say they're counterfeit.
Exactly, yeah, $3 bill edition. Yeah, we can do that. On that note, I think before we get into the various worlds of cars that we're breaking at home, why don't you come at me, dog? Because I think you've got to quiz me. You have to put the gauntlet down.
Yeah, let's enter the game.
The game.
mode.
What is the game for those that are uninitiated?
Yeah, so a quick primer, if you will. So this is our automotive quiz game show where we pick an automotive print ad from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Print ad, these ran in magazines, sometimes adult literature at the time.
Good, yeah, full
Hopefully.
spread.
Yeah, emphasis on spread. What we do is we read the ad to the unsuspecting victim. They have 3 guesses. Obviously, we omit the brand and obvious giveaways, but they have 3 guesses to figure out what the heck we're talking about.
That's right. And if I get a guess wrong, which I won't, but if I do, after each one, I can request a hint if necessary. Yes?
We have mercy rules, yeah?
Okay, all right. There will be no mercy.
No quarter.
No.
All right,
What
so
do we got?
are you ready for this, Frank?
Y'all ready for this? I am.
If anyone tells you this couldn't be a family car, show them the doors.
Ooh. Are we going to be on brand with the category today? All right, come on. Let's see
Once you've done that, open it up and allow your skeptical companions a closer look at the 5-door blank.
Ooh, 5-door.
Let them examine its ergonomically designed cockpit, replete with at your fingertip.
Replete?
Yes.
Oh boy, I love it.
Controls and contoured front bucket seats.
Cat, we got buckets.
Then have them take a glance in back at your booty. They'll see 2 more doors.
We've established the door count several times.
Yeah.
Really, really proud of the doors.
We're gonna drive it home a little more, I'm sure. A spacious backseat with plenty of leg and headroom for children, colleagues, even the in-laws, and cargo room.
The in-laws aren't stuffed in the trunk?
Loads of it. I mean, play your cards right. Next, go for a short ride. And the fact that the blank fulfills the role of family car becomes even more remarkable, as it's responsive 4-valve per cylinder, 1.6 liter, dual overhead cam, engine with a programmed fuel injection system.
Okay.
Wastes little time in displaying its Formula One racing heritage.
Ooh.
Watch out, guys. I think that's
a hatch. When I think hot hatch, I think Formula One racing heritage.
While a performance-oriented suspension package, front and rear stabilizer bars, and disc brakes all around, for the technocrats among you. Finds a remarkable balance between fun for the driver and a comfortable ride for the passenger. So how exactly does one define the 5-door blank? Got that door count again. Yeah, I know you forgot from the last 5 times.
I did.
Is it a family car with lots of power, or is it a performance car with lots of room? Solid question. Here you go. Got an answer for you. The answer is yes.
Oh.
And then it's blah, 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 local dealer. Here's a number.
1-900.
Picture is the front, probably top third of this ad is the car entering a spicy corner, wheels turned.
With the in-laws in the back, perhaps?
Yeah, there's a couple bodies in the trunk. In the middle of the ad, there's a picture with all 5 doors open.
Oh. Yep. Like top down look?
Yeah, top down.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Frank, what are we talking about? I know. I'm honest. It doesn't give you too many details, but actually, there's a lot of information in there.
So I mean, really, the only 3. How many doors does it have? I think it's 5.
I think
so. We've got 5 doors.
Sure.
4-wheel disc brakes. The 1.6 24-valve fuel injected twin cam engine, and this manufacturer.
How many valve did you say? I got to correct you there. It's 4-valve per cylinder, so 16 valve.
16 valve, roll them all. Okay.
Just to keep you from going on some weird.
Yeah, some 6 valve per cylinder. Okay, 16 valve. From a manufacturer that has some sort of F1 heritage. So, I'm thinking, and the way they said programmable fuel injection. I know that Honda was pretty proud of their early fuel injection. They called it like the PG-MFI, programmable multi-point fuel injection. So Honda is in the running. They absolutely had and have an F1 program. Toyota also fits that bill. The only engine that fits that specifically off the top of my head is the 4AGE 16 valve. Absolutely fits that bill. I know those were obviously fuel injected. I don't know if they refer to them specifically as programmable or programmed fuel injection. I know they had the
programmed.
I know they had the TVIS system on those, where it had like each cylinder had a runner, and it switched over to like a longer runner at higher RPMs and had a little butterfly valve thing. I'm trying to think of what was in a true 5-door from Toyota that had that motor in it. Because there was the various Corollas that they came in, but you never can get a 4 or 5-door Corolla with that motor in it, I don't think. What would be really interesting is if it was one of the GM captive imports, such as the Nova twin cam, such as Maps.
Yep.
I love that. Exactly. I personally believe
that was a good speech.
That was good. I just had an epiphany. So I'm supposed to do a best man speech from my brother's wedding.
Oh my
not
God!
this weekend, but next weekend. And I should literally just do that, last minute.
Miss
America. Yeah, I don't remember which one. Yeah, exactly. Some people don't have maps. So I'm gonna take. It would be interesting if it was something like the Chevy Nova twin cam. Did they call that a 5-door though? Or is that more of the Geo Prism GSI with a hatch? I'm gonna say it would be really interesting if Geo was trying to play the F1 technology card, because the motor does indeed have quote-unquote F1 heritage because it's from Toyota.
The car is from Toyota.
Hmm?
Prism is just a Corolla, right?
Correct. I'm gonna go Geo Prism GSI 5-door Final Answer Bob.
Put it in the category of cars I want desperately. Unfortunately, that's not the car we're talking about.
Strike one. That is tough because it's more of a hatch, more like a fastbacky kind of a thing.
They'd still call it a 5-door, I think. I think anything where the glass comes up, they call that officially a door, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because they counted like the old Mustangs as 3-door.
Yeah.
What can I do to help you? Where are you seeking clarification, my son?
So, how about this? I feel like, and this would be hopefully...
Unless you have a rapid fire backup answer.
I mean, maybe. I just want some confirmation of what I think is already the case. Is this
Frank
is
seeking affirming love words.
Exactly.
Right now.
Cuddle me with knowledge that is this a Japanese brand? Because I feel like that's what it is.
That's a big one. I will confirm that this is a Japanese brand.
Okay.
It doesn't have an American brand attached to it.
Okay. And that's where I was leaning, even though despite the Geo thing, because I feel like that would be a little presumptuous for Geo to be like our F1 racing heritage.
Hey, Geo had the world as their symbol with a Chevy symbol.
We are the
inside.
world. We are the children.
They were so global.
This is bringing me back.
You need me to highlight any parts again?
Hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Hold on. Boy, I'm not certain on this either. But I think they would maybe categorize it as, I think it is a 1.6.
Okay.
But I'm not totally certain. It might be a 1.8. I'm just gonna go for it.
Oh,
Bro. Because I do, again, the programmed fuel injection is really screaming Honda to me. I'm kind of doubling back to that.
Okay.
Are we talking about the first generation Acura Integra 5-door offering? Circa 1986, 1987.
Yeah, so you're saying it's a Integra 4-door sedan?
Yes, except there was a hatch on there.
I don't, because they didn't have the notchback back then. Right?
Correct.
It was all
Yeah, you get a coupe with a hatch, and you can get the 4-door, 5-door hatch option.
Allow your skeptical companions a closer look at the 5-door Acura Integra.
Yeah, buddy.
Nailed it. Second time is the best.
There we go. Yeah, I kind of forgot when I doubled back. I was like, okay, Japan. It is Japan.
They did say
Doubling
5-door.
back. Yeah, the doubling back. I mean, yeah. Plus, did you know that has 5 doors? But doubling back, I was like, what other? Oh, yeah, Acura brand. Okay, here we go. And that kind of doubled back because that PG MFI, that programmed fuel injection, that wording alone, Honda was very proud of that.
I was
that was their
careful.
thing.
I was going to leave that and the Formula One part. I thought were the biggest hints that kind of pointed to Honda. But
yeah, because it's kind of a ubiquitous.
Like I said, yeah, if it didn't mention that door count, there's so many cars that fit the bill, but I figured you'd drive yourself there because F1 knowledge, the programmed fuel injection, and 5 doors with a dual overhead cam engine.
Yeah.
So that was like 115, 116 horsepower engine, I think, right?
Those were cool. So there was that one I showed you that came through my Cardo Nation client. It was a 55 original mile, 2-door, 89 RS, red, black cloth interior, 5-speed manual. Very, very beat. I wanted to save it. I ended up selling to a dude for like $800.
Yeah, I'm sure the paint was gone, interior was trashed.
Interior was mostly trashed, paint was gone. It needed every possible service. It had minor rust in the hatch and in the quarters. It had like $1,200 in back due on it. The clutch was failing. It needed minimum 6-7 grand put into it.
All right.
And then you would end up with like a $9,000 car. It's like an enormous amount of work to like.
Sounds
not a lot of juice in that squeeze. But I hope it's safe. But those are fun cars. I like those.
Hell yeah. So, well, I say we celebrate your victory.
We should.
With a little bit of PCP.
Ooh, hardcore street drugs.
Yeah.
Or are you referencing Project Car Progress?
Yeah, of course. course, project car progress.
Oh boy.
Puts drones back in pocket.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Stops. Yeah.
You want to lead us off? Real quick, rapid fire PCP this week.
We should. Let's do some PCP with the quickness.
What do you got for me?
So speaking of things that are quick or not quick, back to my Toyota Sienna.
Oh.
So the Sienna, I believe last week, we discussed how it had I let it out to somebody, I had a check engine light, they came on, I brought it back.
That's right.
And at one point, I had also mentioned, we were trying to guess what it was, right? Hey, what's it for? I think we were both guessing it was going to be some sort of a misfire.
Right.
You said cylinder number, I don't remember. I feel like you said like cylinder number 1 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go back and listen.
I would have said 4.
Maybe it was 4. And I said it's either random cylinder misfire, so just unknown random cylinder misfire, or cylinder number 5.
Okay.
Okay. I scanned it. It was actually catalyst inefficiency.
Uh-oh.
P0420, which is unusual because the car's got 233,000 miles. I have a receipt from the prior owner at 165,000 miles. They put all new cats in the thing.
And O2 sensors.
Correct, to the tune of like $3,000 at the dealership. So I don't, if it was 300 something or 233,000 miles, okay, yeah, maybe the cats are a little long in the tooth. So, but weird. So I cleared the code. Hadn't come back, but I was driving around a little bit trying to get the cat monitor set. Cat monitor wouldn't set.
Mm.
But I wasn't driving frequently, so I'd park it and then maybe 5 days later start it.
Sure.
And I noticed it had a mild miss at startup that would then go away. So I started again yesterday. I was like, all right, I hadn't driven like a week. Let me start it up again. And sure enough, missed. I could feel it.
Yeah.
For the first maybe 30 seconds to a minute, that it would smooth out. It'd be fine.
Okay.
But I did it, ran for like 4 seconds. Check engine light blinking, and then went solid. I thought that's going to be misfire. That's definitely what it is. Plug it in. Misfire. Cylinder number 5. It was cylinder number 5. Unfortunately for me, cylinder number 5 is the
backside.
Yeah, bank on the driver's side.
Of course.
So I don't know. If I poke through all my records, I probably have records of the plug being done at some point. I've never done them since I bought the car. I bought it with like 198 on it. It has 233 on it now.
Not a bad idea.
It's a pain in the balls.
I just did a Honda.
I gotta pull the windshield wipers, the motors, the cowl. There's a cowl tray. All that comes off. There's a metal cowl, like lower tray that I have.
Can you get around the intake manifold, or is that coming off too?
Intake manifold has to come off, upper and
New
lower.
gaskets.
All new gaskets.
New throttle body gasket.
Yep, all of that's got to come off. And I'm just for the plugs. Which is doable. I just really.
Why don't you try doing the coils first?
That you got to do all that just to get the coils to, because they're coil and plug.
You can't retry and get the coil unplugged. Sometimes you can do that, but you can't get down. Okay.
No.
Oh boy.
So, and that's the thing. If I do all that for the plugs, I'm doing.
Yeah.
I would do. If I get in there to do the plugs, I'm doing it.
I was just gonna say.
I'm not doing all that.
Yeah.
Just put the coils back.
I literally just did that yesterday on this.
Like high quality NTK coils are like $48 a pop.
Okay.
So it's not that huge a deal, money wise. But it's just I don't want to burn 4 hours. Like, I don't.
Twice.
Yeah, right? So I don't know. I'm so busy with some other project car progress stuff.
Well, that's good.
That I don't have a whole lot of time to deal with it. But I'm geared up to sell that thing. I got the green light from Carson Bids. I sent them like, hey, would you run this? And they laughed at me and said, yeah, we'll run that.
Not before we review it, though.
Sure. Yeah, but I'd like to get it hitting on all 6 consistently to do that.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of why it's not why I don't think it'll set the cat monitor if I'm not consistently.
Yeah, but you
It's
can
not
mess
that
up your cat too if you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't. It only does it when cold, but it's enough that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
A lot of times you got to do a cold start to set those readiness monitors.
Sure.
And if it's not hitting on all 6
It'll never.
on a cold start, I will never set that monitor. So.
True.
Yeah, my progress. It's wrong way of progress. I'm making myself more projects out of
It's
things.
future. Putting it aside for future growth.
Exactly, for a future day. How about you? What are you working on?
So real quick, E30, I did power steering fluid, which was like basically chocolate milk in there.
Ooh, good.
Change your power steering fluid, guys. I know a lot of people don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that bad to do, and you should do it. It keeps the power steering healthy, the steering rack
Yeah.
more healthy, the seals more healthy, and it's easy. It's not that hard. I also did the OEM badges on our E30.
Oh, those look so good, man.
What a difference.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is BMW's cool because they still make new stuff for their old cars. So
Right.
you can get the right badges. You have to be very careful. You have to look up part numbers. It can be a little tricky. on the E30s because you don't want to put the wrong badge in there. It doesn't fit because the actual hood and
there's a little
trunk,
curvature.
there's an indentation that only fits. And I replaced the hardware. A lot of people put the new badges in, use the old like rubber grommets, and then their badge falls off.
Don't
right?
want that.
So we didn't do that. And these are a little pricey. I think it was like $100 for both, front and rear. But what a difference! So I think the video I'm actually posting in the next couple days will show that process. So that's pretty cool. And then real quick on the Accord front, I actually have a wheel speed sensor fault like on the dash, and you need to have a specialty scan tool, usually at a Honda dealership, or if you're a Honda guy, you have this. My scan tool doesn't pick it. So I did the first thing you do is pull off every ABS sensor and clean them. And they were pretty dirty. They're original, 220,000 miles on the car. Went to start it, still got the code. It's not a code, I'm sorry, it's a warning light. You can't actually pull a code for it.
This is just ADS warning light and a traction control light?
It's just, when you drive it, TCS will come on, but for right now it's the triangle with the exclamation, which shows something's wrong with the stability system. So yeah, cleaning it unfortunately didn't do it, and so I'm going to replace all 4. But that's where I'm at.
Cool.
So that was pretty good PCP dosage for me.
Good, good. I'm glad we're well dosed.
We're dosed up.
And we've just, there's no end to the horizon of our addiction to PCP. There's lots for us to do. So we should probably bid everyone adieu and get to these various projects.
Yeah, and thank everybody. Thanks for checking out, listening along, watching along.
Keeping this thing afloat. I'm getting some conflicting reviews. Maybe we'll get into those next week. But no, it's been good. We definitely appreciate you guys checking us out. We kind of mostly just do this for fun, but those of y'all that have put up with us and partake with us, it's great. So thank you for that. Tell everyone you know. Maybe one day we'll get sponsored by some sort of like dick pill energy drink combination. I hope so.
If not, we'll come up with that.
Yeah. Now sponsored by Herpes&L. So thanks for following us. Do all the things. We are APA Podcast on the Instagram.
That's right. And the Tubes.
And the Tubes. I am the Photographer's Garage on the Instagram and the Tubes. Where and what are you, Chadwick?
Auto Obsessive Garage, and you can find all my silly car projects and reviews on there. Instagram also.
You can find me in the club. So that's it. Thanks for hanging out, and tune in next week. Bye.
Take care, guys.